Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to today's HDI Customer Service Week webinar, Customer Service, Changing Preferences and Evolving Technologies. Today's webinar is brought to you by LogMe and Rescue. I'm Megan Selva, and I'll be your moderator today. We have just a few announcements before we begin. If you experience any technical difficulties during the webinar, please refresh your browser. You can participate in the Q&A session by asking questions at any time during this webinar, and they will be answered during the Q&A session towards the end of our webinar. To do that, just enter your question into the question box and click Submit. You can download the slides from today's presentation by opening the Attachments tab on your BrightTalk screen. The slides will advance automatically throughout the event. And remember that today's webinar will be available on demand shortly after the completion of this live event, and you'll receive an email reminder to let you know it's available. You can connect with HDI on Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn, and on our members-only community site, HDI Connect. And now to introduce our speakers. Dana Olson has nearly 30 years of experience in diverse support roles and environments, including education, insurance, information management, and commodity management. She has 13 years of experience as an active practitioner, managing service desks, and owning a consulting firm focused on service desk and customer relationship management. She's also been a teacher, trainer, and process manager. In her current role, Dana is responsible for the service desk, desktop management, access administration, and process management at Gavilon. She's a certified IDLE Expert V3 and a Kepner-Trigo program leader. An active HDI member since 2005, over the years, Dana has served as a Nebraska Local Chapter Officer, the Central Regional Director, and the Chair of the HDI Member Advisory Board. Over to you, Dana.
Well, happy Customer Service Week, everyone, and hello. I am so excited to be giving this, and if you are tweeting, make sure we use our hashtag CSWeek2016. So let's step back in time and look at our social network 15 years ago. Yes, we were using Rolodex cards, Post-it notes, phones, screenshots. LinkedIn did not even launch until 2003, YouTube in 2005. Things have changed significantly in how we interact with family, friends, vendors, business partners, and our customers. So let's talk about how things have changed in the support world. 15 years ago, most of us were tethered to the network with our desktops. When we needed help, we picked up the phone line and called someone. They walked us through how to solve the problem, or they may have even come to our desk. That's vintage support. Today, with all the technology advances, we have all kinds of medias. Not only do we have the phone, we have email, chat, online forms, text, social media, mobile apps. It continues to evolve. So why are the channels changing on us? Why are people interacting with the service desk or the support organizations differently? First of all, we've become a lot more mobile. We have mobile devices, laptops, cell phones, and our connectivity that allows us to work anywhere, anytime. We've become more comfortable with self-service. Consumerization is huge. If I can interact with my bank this way, why not with my work? I want options that allow me to connect to my preferred method, the channel that best suits me for my urgency and my impact. For example, if my computer won't boot, I'll pick up the phone and call. However, if I am on a routine question that needs to be answered, I might prefer an online form or a quick chat with somebody that won't take away from what I'm doing, and I can multitask. So let's look at this by the numbers. So this is 2015 HDI Support Center Practice and Salary Survey data. I'm sure if we polled you, you'd probably come in somewhere along the same lines. So this graph has two different groups, the non-outsourced and the outsourced, and the different channels that we take tickets and what percentage of tickets come through that channel. If you look at it just quickly, you'll notice that social media, text, chat, and mobile apps all exceeded the non-outsourced service center. So let's dig down into that data a little more. If we talk about our non-outsourced support centers, in 2011, 57% of the tickets were created from phone calls. That dropped to 50% in 2014 and a slight increase in 2015 with 52%. So we are seeing a decrease of phone channel. The mobile app is hugely popular when it's provided. Only 5% of the non-outsourced support centers offered a mobile app, but 21% of their tickets came in that way. It was only exceeded by phone and email. 43% of our outsourced support centers offered mobile apps, and 68% of their tickets came through that mobile app. That's higher than any other channel. You can see the shift. If we compare it side by side, 2011 to 2015, we see that our tickets created by our customers is going up. My favorite is the middle. HDI was not even measuring text messages for ticket creation back in 2011, just 4 or 5 years ago. 9% of the tickets are now coming in from text. And we're seeing an increase in chat as well. So while we talk about all this change and all the channel changes, there are some things that don't change, or maybe I should say shouldn't change. Regardless of how we're delivering our service, the basics of customer service need to remain the same. I'm not talking about our SLAs or how fast we respond. I'm talking about customer service itself, the heart, the meat of the bones, listening, empathy, timeliness. These are all how we do our business. It doesn't necessarily matter that we're on the phone or we're on a chat or we're using social media. We want to make sure that we're still delivering world-class customer service. Communication is a two-way dialogue. Did you know that only 93% of our message is conveyed through tone, facial expressions, and gestures? Words only convey 7% of our message. So in chat, where they can't hear you and they can't see you, it's even more important that you follow best customer service practices that allow you to connect to your customer, build that relationship, and make the experience one that they're going to remember, that's positive and friendly. So let's talk about some of those. We have spent time training our agents and our analysts when they pick up the phone to greet. It sets the tone for that whole conversation. We want to do the same thing when we're chatting or texting. We want to let them have a greeting that helps you connect with them emotionally, let them know that you're there to help them, and it allows your customer to feel more comfortable in exchanging that information with you during the chat session. So if you have an angry customer on the phone, we show them empathy. We want to do the same thing when we talk about a chat session. We want to let our customer know that we are on their side and that their frustration is understandable. So I'm really sorry about that. Tell me about what happened and collect the data. You need to make sure you understand the customer's issue before you take action. We do it on the phone. Make sure you do it in a chat, especially because you don't have tone or facial expressions from your customer. You're relying on their words. So it's good to say, let me check that I have this right. By taking that verification step, you're going to shorten your call or your chat session because you're verifying where you are and what the situation is. We always tell our agents and our analysts if we're on the phone and we don't know an answer, it's okay to say, I don't know, but I will find out for you. The same thing can happen in a chat. This is going to build that you're being honest and upfront. You're going to build trust with your customer by letting them know that. So we continue on to our phone call, and a lot of times we have to go find an answer or check into something. So when we're on a phone, We say, we want to put you on hold. Are you okay? Can you hold a few minutes? We want to do the same thing in chat. And that's even more important because if the chat box goes silent, they might think that they've lost your attention. They can't see you or hear you. So let them know you need to put them on hold for a few minutes. And just like in a phone call, if it's going to take a long while, ask them if they can hold for a few minutes or if you want them to follow back up with you later. Be considerate. They may still have other activities going on. They may need to be able to get on a phone call in 5 minutes and don't have time for that chat. When we finish our conversation on a phone, we always end and we make sure the customer's satisfied. You need to do that same type of protocol with your chat. I didn't include everything in here, but you want to make sure that you thank them for their time today. Ask them and confirm that that issue's been resolved. Ask them if they need any other assistance while you have them, and then you're going to wish them a good day and say goodbye. You need to mark that that interaction is finished. Don't be rude. Closing a chat window without saying goodbye is just like hanging up the phone without saying goodbye. Now, some of us are used to a more informal method as we chat with our friends and so forth, and we go back and forth. But you are still in a professional setting providing customer service, and you need to make sure you're following the same customer service practices you do on a phone call as you would in any other channel. Responsive. If you promise to follow up and deliver on that promise. Even if you don't have it solved, let them know, John, I wanted to let you know we're still investigating the problem. We don't have a solution yet. I'll email you as soon as we found the bug. And most importantly, use their name. We do that on a phone call. We find that using their name helps us build that relationship, helps us trust and connect. It's going to take a few more keystrokes on a chat session, but that time is well worth it. And one thing I didn't put on here is make sure that as you're typing your chats, again, you are not using acronyms that they may not know. Make sure that you're spelling words correctly. Keep your communications formal, just as you would if you were sending an email or doing a phone call. So we have people who will say, customer service is dead. In today's digital world, you can dismiss customer service as nice to have, but I say that's wrong. Customer service allows our standard retailers to set themselves apart as industry leaders. Think of Starbucks. Think of Zappos. They use customer service to set themselves apart from their competitors. Long live customer service. Successful businesses that attract and keep their customers for the long haul share one thing in common: world-class customer service. Successful companies personalize customer service. They allow multiple channels, and that is their #1 competitive advantage. When you provide world-class customer service, you're winning their loyalty and market share time and time again. I want to do a little exercise. I want you to think about the last time you had a service interaction. Maybe you took your car in to get fixed, or you returned an item at a store. I want you to take a small sheet of paper or put it in your head and think, what were the 3, maybe 5 things you remember about that interaction? Take just a minute right now and write those down or come up with them in your head. I do this exercise with a lot of service groups. What do you remember about the last service interaction? Usually when I ask people to read those back, I hear things like, it was a positive, friendly interaction. The clerk smiled. The clerk was efficient. The line was long, so you might even hear the negative pieces. The clerk didn't know what they were doing. They had to call a manager. It took forever. They tell me about their experience. Rarely does anybody tell me they fixed my problem. What people remember is the interaction they had with you, not so much that they fixed the problem. That's why customer service is so important in our dealings with people. So I do want you to read what we have up on the slide. Did anybody figure out the trick? You're going to read the first line left to right, just as you normally would, and the second line you're going to read right to left. This little card is just an eye catcher to help you realize that there's always another way to do almost anything, including reading. The first time, it is always hard to do something a new way, but read this again now that you have the hang of it. Gets easier, doesn't it? There are other ways to provide service and support. It's important that our service and support organizations are evolving, trying new ways, trying new channels, taking their service up a notch. As we think about Customer Service Week, we're always looking at things that we want to plan, the celebrations that we're going to hold, how we're going to thank our employees, and all of that needs to be done. But I think there needs to be another activity. That activity is reflection. I challenge you to evaluate your service and support organization. Take a look at it. Take a snapshot of what it looked like 2 years ago. What's it look like today? And now what's it going to look like in another year? Look for those opportunities to improve, to change, to take your customer service to the next level. We talked about the changes. We're seeing a shift in the channels that are there. Phone is going down, chat, mobile app, all of those are going up. I know that they'll continue to increase. So how do I make sure that I'm delivering customer service as we need to? How do I make sure that we're prepared? Do I need to change or retrain our analysts on how we do things? Do I need to refocus their efforts? If we're doing chat, blind typing is really pretty critical. If somebody's having to hand peck, they're probably not going to be a good analyst for chat. Doesn't mean they're not a good analyst for the phone. So take that to the next level. How are you changing to meet the needs of your customer? What new channels might you offer? Do you provide friendly customer service regardless of that channel? Just as we monitor phone calls, do you go in and look at chat sessions to see how those are? Or texts? Are you looking at those interactions? Is your service helping your company differentiate themselves? Maybe you say, I'm not outsourced, all my people are employees. Is your service helping your IT differentiate themselves, helping your industry grow, helping them use technology and giving a face to IT? You want to think through these questions and make sure that you're always evolving. Our technology advances are moving and changing the way we do business, and we need to make sure we're keeping up pace. Now, some of us have organizations that don't necessarily use some of this technology. That's okay. If they don't, that's fine. Maybe you try it, it doesn't work. You stop and go back to using it. Look, you may not offer everything, and I don't know that I'll back up to the slide. Faxing. How many people take tickets via fax anymore? Stop some channels that aren't getting the action and add channels that are. Doesn't mean you have to do every channel. Do the channel that works for your organization. But don't think that we're always going to do the phone. Things are changing and we need to change with it. Customer service is a wonderful tool to help you differentiate yourself. Celebrate this week. Thank your employees for doing this. And this evaluation that I'm talking about is done by everybody. An analyst, how are you changing? What skills do you need to do? How do you suggest you might change to meet the needs of the customer? You work with these people day in and day out. If they're telling you, I'd really like to see chat, or I really like to see a mobile app, bring that up. Share it. Management, supervisors, managers, what are you doing? How do you change it? It's everybody's business to know how we want to change and go forward. So, Megan, I don't know if you want to take any questions now or if we want to hold those to the end, but I am finished, and we'll turn things over to you.
All right. We'll hang on to the questions until the end, just in case we get some for LogMeIn as well. And on the subject of LogMeIn, we're going to hand it over to Chris Savio. Chris is a senior project manager for LogMeIn Rescue. Leveraging more than 9 years of product experience, Chris is tasked with driving Rescue's growth by identifying, prioritizing, and developing features to address current market needs, as well as uncovering future market opportunities. He also works with the company's sales and marketing teams to help develop and refine messaging and go-to-market plans by providing customer insights and evolving buyer personas. Prior to joining LogMeIn, Chris worked as an evidence-based consultant helping clients develop and enhance product offerings and understand and improve brand impressions. He used customer-centric research and data to help conceive, validate, and launch products for his clients. Chris has also collaborated with technology and financial companies to formulate and co-author industry thought leadership. I'm going to hand it over to you, Chris.
Thank you so much. Before I dive into some details specifically about LogMeIn Rescue and some of the use cases, which of the different channels I know that Dana was touching on kind of focuses on the remote support space, so more of the higher touch support that you'll engage in. I want to start off with some insight into our view of the support world and how the kind of changing landscape of support has impacted and will continue to impact the evolution of our products and similar products to ours, as well as the variety of support products that exist. So I think that we can all agree, right, that the world of support is a changing space. It's expanding, from the people side of it to the types of things which we need to support. There's higher demand and new things that keep coming out on a regular basis and new types of challenges that you have to face. And, at the highest level, as a result of kind of the connected world and this evolution of the users and technology, expectations of service and support have greatly increased. Customers in general expect support to be instantaneous, to be seamless. And these expectations can result in big obstacles for companies, which I'm sure many of you are aware of. Regardless of that length of relationship or the perceived loyalty that one of your customers could have with you, one single bad experience can leave a sour taste in their mouth and potentially result in a lost customer. One recent study that found that 76% of customers report that they've stopped doing business with a brand following a single bad experience. So this kind of stresses even more the importance of that one touch point, that one single point of contact, because these customers are doing things on their own, and then when they reach out to you finally and had that single point, that's their main reference. So you need to make each one count, both from a support experience as well as keeping that customer kind of as an advocate for your organization. So what has changed to kind of cause this shift in the customer expectations? So we see it as two things. It's a combination of changes from the industry and technology side itself, as well as the resulting changes in customer behaviors. First, we have been privileged to live in this era where there's almost limitless connectivity. Between Wi-Fi everywhere you go, high-speed cellular networks, everyone can be connected all the time. And what this has resulted in is customers that try and connect in different ways with different devices, right? Second, while devices themselves have become increasingly simple, the interactions have grown much more complex between them. Now your phone can be connected to a 4G connection with a Spotify app on the phone that's connected to your Bluetooth, that's connected into your car, and then the Spotify app that's synced to Facebook and telling all your friends what you're currently listening to. So that's pretty complex, yet from an end user perspective or a customer's perspective, this increased complexity shouldn't be hard for them. They want it to be simple. They want it to be elegant to use. So regardless of that complexity that has gone into the interactions with one another, from a customer standpoint, they want it to be much more elegant and seamless and nothing that they have to deal with. If it has to be some type of 10-step process to integrate these apps, then they're not going to use it. It needs to be this kind of single click, right? And that's just one example of complexity. And finally, with all the availability and endless information that's out there, customers want their experience to be exactly what they want and when they want it. They want it on their terms. We've grown impatient and demanding, but the problem is very real. Some of the industry changes, because of some of these industry changes, it's becoming increasingly simple to switch between products. Again, go back to that Spotify example. If they didn't make that interface easy to use, where all you're doing is pushing play and everything else kind of just works, it'd be pretty quick within 5 minutes to cancel your subscription and move to Pandora or Beats or Google Music or any of the other dozens of similar providers out there. And unfortunately, this example is across most industries and most products. It is all too simple to switch to someone else with the access to resources and information and these high levels of expectations. So these general product sentiments, we feel do transfer to support demands that you and your organizations are facing every day, from end users to current employees. Customers want support across different channels and different devices. The support needs to be easy to use, very intuitive and very fast. And at the end of the day, it needs to be on their terms. They don't want to have to come in through one channel and then get supported through a different channel. They want to make sure that you have the information readily available to support them and things that they previously did. If they want their self-help, they want easy access to that and then escalate it to a remote support session. And again, these transitions and handoffs need to be seamless and just as seamless as that integration that I spoke with Spotify. So, these are pretty high demands, and I'm not envious of a lot of organizations that have to face these demands. But for some of the problems, we do feel that there is potential help to support your customers from a remote support standpoint. LogMe and Rescue is a tool that has been developed to support these growing customer demands. It's an easy-to-use support tool that also lives across multiple devices, so it checks off a couple of those boxes. And as the industry has evolved, so has Rescue. Rescue started off providing remote support for PCs and laptops, a standard desktop remote support tool. It had, remote control, robust diagnostics, scripting, chat, unattended access, and many more features and functionalities. But as device support evolved to the mobile universe, so too did the need to support these devices and provide support through these devices. So we developed our Rescue Plus Mobile, which supports smartphones and tablets through remote control, remote viewing, pushing settings, navigating through whiteboard, and many other pieces of functionality. So together, these two products that supported devices and provided support across devices enabled agents to fix more devices from more devices than any other solution. It gave clientless support with a seamless user experience. So it was quick and easy to use. There didn't need to be anything pre-installed for the end user or pre-configured. And also it allowed for customizable interfaces. It gives you APIs as well as a mobile software development kit or SDK to reflect your brand identity, as well as integrate the product into your product or into your website or into your customer's ecosystem for easier customer use to get them to that channel where they need it to be as quickly as possible. But as the demand on our customers to similarly support physical things grew, we knew we needed to evolve again. So along came Rescue Lens. Rescue Lens is a live video support tool that helps support reps see problems through the eyes of your customers. What this does is it extends remote support capabilities beyond just the devices to just about anything. It involves the user as an active and fully supported participant in the actual solution. And it solves problems more quickly, accurately, and conveniently for an overall better customer experience. At the end of the day, it's kind of a tool that can be both customer-facing as well as used for your own internal teams or field support teams to, again, support one another or support customers. So that's a high-level overview of Rescue, what it is, how it's evolved, where it's come from, and some of the thoughts behind how we're going to continue to evolve it as support continues to rapidly move forward. What I'd like to do now is provide a few kind of real examples of challenges facing your space and how some of our customers have used Rescue to help address those challenges. The first challenge, as I touched upon previously, is this kind of growing customer expectation, the need to address satisfaction and continue to improve it and measure it. In a recent study of support reps, it was found that 56% of these reps felt challenged by an increasing end-user expectation for availability as well as device support. So this mobile expectation is something that over half of these reps are facing. 87% of support desk staff strive to achieve a high end-user satisfaction level. So again, this is a key metric. It's not just close rate or handle time. Those need to be there, and they are foundational pieces, non-starters. But you have to, at the same time, make sure that customer satisfaction is always top of mind. And then also 74% of service desk professionals are focusing on improving their customer service metrics. So at the end of the day, while satisfaction, can be perceived to be going up, if the metrics aren't identified and aren't constantly monitored, you have no way to really know how you're doing and jump in when you need to. So how can and how did LogMe and Rescue help in these areas? With Rescue, you're able to resolve issues without actually having to rely on non-technical users to describe a problem. You're actually in there and navigating around with them and can see problems, whether it's on a mobile device, a PC, or a physical device with Lens. You can access remote computers or devices in 20 seconds or less by connecting. And for tech-savvy users, you have the ability for on-demand services to reduce that user downtime. So as quickly as you need to get them up and running, you can through the intuitive interfaces or integration into your site and get them in the right places. These benefits had a great impact for one of our customers, the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. And what they saw across their 100-plus locations with over 300 to 400 requests per week, they saw a 90% first-touch resolution and a significant improvement in handle time as well. So just by implementing a tool such as this, they were able to quickly turn around and improve their overall support experience for their end users and drive higher customer satisfaction. The next challenge faced by companies is almost threefold, yet they all tie together, right? There's the time to resolution, the productivity of your staff, as well as lowering the costs. And I don't think one of these can be achieved without addressing the other, or at least keeping the other in the back of your mind. Again, that study that I referenced earlier showed that 81% of respondents reported needing to increase the capacity of their support team by reducing that time to resolution. 77% of the respondents said that they faced challenges in lowering their support costs. I'm sure something that echoes quite loudly with many of you that are sitting in this today. And 47% of respondents want to free up staff time and resources for more innovation. So again, they want to take the resources that they currently have, but leverage them in other ways. So they need to find ways to not just optimize their team, but better manage and potentially drive people to self-help or dictate when they need to be supporting end users. So for a company like Meineke, Rescue was able to help in many of these areas. And it helps by cutting troubleshooting time and solving issues in half or more. The interface that's designed in our technician console is a tabbed interface, which gives technicians the ability to support multiple sessions at once. So it kind of makes them uber productive if they're running scripting on one or navigating back and forth, and they can switch to a higher priority support session and not just one thing at a time. And then lastly, computers can be accessed in an unattended mode. So this offers that flexibility and convenience for the end users as well as the technician. An end user doesn't need to sit around and wait for a support session to be done if they want to go home or they don't want to sit at home or whatever the case is. the technician can set this up and jump in whenever there's availability or free time to run what they need to. So the specific impact on Meineke, what they saw across their 1,000+ retail stores, with that support incident time was cut in half. It was actually reduced to 20 minutes or less. The phone bill savings that they saw actually more than made up for the cost of the rescue seats that they purchased. And then finally, the IT team now responds to as well as resolves 90% of incidents per week, and this was up from a 60 to 70% prior to using rescue. So how about the challenge of optimizing the help desk through data? You know, data. Everything nowadays is driven by data analytics. It's a growing emphasis on data analytics. And, you know, help desk isn't something that's going to escape this. At the same time, you need to show improvements across metrics and show how you're changing or evolving your team through data, such as time to resolution, call center volumes, and much, much more. So Rescue is able to help this by offering a few different features or functionality. There's an intuitive online interface that provides visibility into all support interactions. And in addition to the visibility into them, you get some detailed data for each session, and this data can be leveraged within our own tool or integrated with other CRM or ticketing tools you use to add in some additional customer and user data as well. There's centralized management tasks, such as creating or assigning permissions, which will help you, again, manage your team and the call volume and navigate support sessions to the right areas. And then lastly, you have the ability to enable administrators to create and view reports. And this really dives into that detailed data. And this data can be exported automatically or manually as you want to run different sessions. And you can pull anything not just from call volume and handle time to features used, functionality, survey results, etc. Whatever you really want to dive into, all that data is there for you to look at. So how did this help one of our customers, Money Concepts Financial Planning Firm? Well, what they were able to do with our robust admin center as well as collaboration tools, it provided them previously unavailable insights into their call volumes. They were never before kind of measuring this or monitoring this, so they weren't able to optimize their team. After helping them implement Rescue properly and integrate it and pull the correct metrics to monitor, they now have a team that has optimized their staff when they're staffed appropriately, the type of staff needed. And then additionally, with the ability to collaborate within Rescue and have people sit in and remote view sessions, it made training easier as well as more effective. Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't speak to the challenge of mobile devices, right? And for some organizations as well, from an internal IT, the whole, BYOD type trends. 61% of service desk professionals say that they have to improve their ability to support these mobile devices. And this number is just going to continue to grow. We feel that Rescue shines most in this area because, it's quick and easy to deploy across a variety of systems, PCs, Mac, iOS, Android, and many more. Access and support to more smartphones, tablets, computers, and apps than actually any other support solution that's out there. And lastly, and importantly, there's no need for a software installation, on a corporate computer or BYOD type devices. These are all ad hoc, point-in-time support, so you don't need to be in there before and put different installables or executables on customer computers or employee devices that they don't want to give you access to. For one of our customers, Make-A-Wish, this had a great impact for them. So they are set up where they have 150 employees and 2,500 plus volunteers across a variety of offices in the U.S. And they're all independently managed. So the IT can't pre-install any software on the machines that they don't actually own, which is a large majority of their machines. So over the 6 years that Make-A-Wish has been using LogMeIn, they've been able to experience a tremendous cost savings as well as time savings. What they found was that agents save about a week's time for every on-site onboarding that they don't have to conduct. So they're actually able to do all this onboarding now remotely rather than needing to go to these organizations. Again, optimizing their team and being able to do more with less and get back to the important things for their organization. So that's all I have for this afternoon or this morning or this evening, again, wherever you're located. And I hope this was insightful and helpful. And I'll turn it over now for I guess, some questions.
All right. Thanks, Chris. We do have some questions, but before we get to that, please do remember to rate this webinar. There's a Rate This tab beneath the slides. You can select a star rating, and then please do add some comments because your feedback really does help us improve our future webinars. All right, and now on to the Q&A portion of our event. These questions are definitely open to both you and Dana, Chris. We've got a question here about empathy. So why do you think empathy is particularly important? Isn't it the case that people are just calling to get their technical problems solved?
Sorry, I had muted myself so that I wasn't coughing on anybody. I go back to kind of the exercise I asked people to do. How do you relate to a person and make that interaction memorable? Think back to your last customer service when you got your car serviced. Did you just go in and want them to fix it? Or are you rating them on how you were greeted? Are you giving, if you're doing a survey, are you giving them 10s because I got it fixed? No, we rate on our experience. How were we greeted? If things were explained, if they did things in a timely manner, did they follow up? That empathy when they say, oh, your car is broken, and they take concern with the issue, you feel like it's going to be handled. You build that relationship with the customer, they're going to want to come back. I'll go to what Chris mentioned. One bad experience, people leave. They're very finicky in their customer service anymore. So it's not just about getting it fixed. They are remembering that experience, and that's what they're going to take away with them.
All right. Awesome. Next question. Why do you think there's been an increase in the number of tickets created from chat, text, or other similar means? Is it that workers are just younger? Is it because it's faster? What do you think is that driving factor?
I think Chris touched on a lot of it. It's technology advances. We're much more mobile. We have the technology, and this has become our everyday life in that we chat with people, we text people. We don't pick up the phone and call them anymore. And so when that becomes your normal mean of communication, I think now you're expected to do that for all your interactions, not just with family and friends. It goes into your business relationship. But Chris, you can talk to it as well. You had some good points.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, I think, to the point you're making as well, there's kind of this blurring between everyone's normal day life and how they expect to get support. Previously, I know support was seen as, okay, I call up, I go through, my button menu on there and I'll get the support. But with a lot of organizations that have kind of pushed this boundary of what support should be, either through social or texting or in-apps, whatever it is, it's become more commonplace for people to say, well, this is how I interact in my daily life. Why shouldn't it be the same to support? And, for companies that haven't evolved to have these channels of entry point, you don't necessarily have to have all of them, but as long as there is one of the frequent ones that are being more adopted in everyone's everyday life, you're going to get left behind.
Good points. To both of you, actually, what are some good resources that you guys can think of for training staff on mobile device support, knowing that it is so critical?
I know in our team, we are lucky enough that our team carries, some of them are Apple geeks and they carry an iOS, and some of them are Android and they carry Androids, and we constantly are cross-sharing, cross-training, and then if we get stuck, obviously we go to that person that has that expertise. It is getting harder with the different devices coming out and making sure it works with everything that you want it to work with. So I don't know that I have any good resources other than we're pretty much internally self-taught. It's Google. The industry's changing. The new iOS has come out. You've got to catch up with them. It's going out there and reading about them and we do have a test device as well that any one of our techs can use to try out the new OSs or learn about it.
Yeah, you know, it is evolving quickly, and it's hard to kind of have experts in everyone's organization. You know, usually, and you know, maybe I'm speaking out of turn because I do work at a software technology company, so we have a lot of tech geeks. But you know, at a lot of organizations, there is that person that's passionate about you know, a specific mobile device or a platform, whether that be Android or iOS, and maybe, you know, make that person the thought leader at your organization, the expert on that, and host some lunch and learns on them and show them how to do it. And then at the end of the day, it really is just getting hands-on with those devices and making sure that your team is comfortable with them, play around with them, have some, you know, just in-house kind of, you know, burner devices to use and test on. Record actual support sessions that went well, record ones that went poorly, and share that in ongoing education and training with your team. You know, it's not just about onboarding initially to get someone up and running. It's about that kind of continued education as well.
Agreed. Excellent. Now, Chris, you might have specific insights on this question. Do you have a sense of whether chat is more popular with companies that support, you know, exclusively external customers, so they're consumers of their product, or whether it's more popular with internal support organizations that primarily support their employees?
Yeah, I mean, so what we've seen, it really is the structure of the company nowadays with larger organizations that have you know, offices, whether it's work from home or offices spread throughout the globe even, and IT isn't potentially right there in their office. Chat has become a frequent tool that they're using. Again, inter-office collaboration tools such as, you know, Slack, which has gained in prominence, has become something to talk to someone that's, you know, maybe one floor away from you or 2 desks over from you. So support is starting to evolve in the same way through that, whether it's an internal chat tool or a web-based chat tool. It is important to kind of have that option available. That you know, it moved from face-to-face conversation to email, now to kind of real-time collaboration via chat. So I think it needs to live in both areas, not just customer-facing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So this last question we have is kind of deep, and so I'm going to throw it to you and Chris, Dana, but I'm also going to take this out to our community on HDI Connect, so you'll definitely see a question, this discussion show up there in the Ask Your Network section. But the question is this: can you guys give some examples of next-gen reporting and metrics that allow you to measure multiple channels, their efficiency and effectiveness, and the amount of handoff taking place between one and the other? So, for example, self-service to chat, chat to phone, etc. You know, what metrics are you guys using in your, you know, either your customers, Chris, or at Gavilon, Dana?
We do measure which tickets are coming in which areas, so we're measuring our channels. We are not necessarily measuring handoffs between channels. That is a good point. We haven't gotten to that maturity level. We do customer satisfaction surveys, so you can come back and start to look at satisfaction. So we haven't gotten as mature as what I'd like to see at our organization, but I think those are excellent points, and it will be important that you can show handoffs, because I know one of the fears is somebody starting a chat session and they really wanted something much more complex that couldn't really be handled very well in a chat. And so that's where coming into your tools where you can connect and take over and move it. I don't know that I have a good answer.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think one, to be honest, hasn't been elegantly addressed in the industry yet. There are some CRM tools and ticketing tools out there that are starting to evolve this way, and if you have other support or agent tools that integrate with them, that you can kind of track past that way. So if you have a telephony system that rings in through your CRM, for example, and you can generate your initial ticket that way, and then you need to escalate it potentially to a remote support session, such as with Rescue, which integrates with these CRMs, that'll also track and say when that went in, a timestamp and a point in time. So it's really, it is first identifying where that unified point of information or that single source of information is going to live. And, you know, whatever customer database that is or ticketing tool you have will tend to probably be the best source for that because it does handle multiple channels, or a good one should. But, you know, at the same time, I think something that really a lot of organizations are struggling with and trying to figure out is elevating from a knowledge base to knowing where someone came in the entry point, to then access them in chat and then escalate to a co-browser or remote support. You know, organizations such as ours, from a software standpoint, so we have our Bold chat and customer engagement tool, as well as our remote support tool, and we have created APIs and integrations to allow for those passes to happen and the ability to transfer along session IDs and tickets. But at the end of the day, it really does come back to where that is stored. So I guess my first pointing would be to a robust ticketing or CRM system, which can kind of be that single point where everything kind of pumps into, and then just make sure that whatever tools you're working with have the right APIs or PostScripts that can capture all that information in some kind of unified ID. But it is definitely a space that is evolving. You know, for some organizations too slowly. Some are trying to build it themselves and haven't been successful, and vice versa. So I wish I had something I can kind of point out and say, hey, go look at this company. But really, the ones that I've seen have fallen short in one place or another, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, like I said, we're definitely going to kick this question to our community as well, because there's tremendous collective wisdom in that group. So we'll see what kind of gems they can contribute to that discussion, because it's such a good one to have. Otherwise, that's the last of our questions. So thank you so much, Dana and Chris, and to our sponsor, LogMeIn, and then to all of you for attending. As far as what's coming up, we have Fusion coming up here at the end of October, beginning of November. So we do hope to see you in Las Vegas at Fusion 16, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your customer service week. On behalf of HDI, thanks for your time and have a great day.